fly I'm going to tie for you today is a pattern that is very fancy looking and is really a pretty simple fly to tie. And I'm going to tie this today on a Tiemco, what is this? Tiemco 5262 size 6. It's 2 extra long and 2 extra heavy. That's the hook. I'm using standard bead chain eyes. And I'm going to use some for the body. For the tail, I'm going to use just some strung black Marabou. And you can do this fly. The beauty of this fly, you can do it in any number of color combinations. This is just regular strung black Marabou. I'm going to use some speckled orange small centipede legs from Montana Fly Company. And I'm going to use some barred Schlappen, also from Montana Fly Company. So we like that segmentation variegation. We love that. I've tied in my bead chain eyes close to the eye of the hook. I want as much of this hook shank as I can use for material. And I'm tying this so the fly right now is upside down. It's going to ride this way in the water. The bead chain eyes are heavy enough just to tip it over so it rides that side up in the water. What I'm going to use for the body material is this Semperfli Ice Straggle Chenille in black, just long enough for the fibers. I like that a lot, for just to give you a little bit of bulk in the body, a little bit of a profile is what I'm trying to say. Okay, I got the materials I'm going to use cut and ready to go. It's my silly legs, my centipede legs. There's my tail for my Marabou. And I'm going to pull out one of these hackles. And so what I do is, if you pull the material out ahead of time before you're going to tie that fly, you are much more efficient in getting your tying done and having to open it up. If you know you're going to tie 5, open it up, get it ready to go. All right, for my tail, I'm going to use this about a hook shank length. I'm going to tie this onto the back. And what I did is I made a thread base all the way back to almost even with the hook barb of the hook. I'm going to put this on there. I'm going to do a pinch wrap, get that nice and tight on there. Make sure it's secure. I'm going to cut that material out. And I'm going to cut it at an angle like that because I want this to taper on its way down the hook shank. Now, if you want to, you could put in a dot of glue right there, which I think I will do. Just makes it a little sturdier. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie in my Straggle Chenille in black right back here. So I just put that little dot of glue there. So I'm going to get everybody on here, point in the right direction. It's okay if we have fibers sticking out because we're going to wrap right over it. And I'm just going to give it a little cure. So now I've got both those back materials on there solidly. I'm tying today on a rotary vise. So with the rotary vise, you have the advantage of just wrapping your materials on, I think, easier and more consistently than if you do it overlapping with your hand. So I'm going to pull that right about real close to the back behind the bead chain eyes. I'm going to wrap over this in front of it. Over again. I want to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Put my finger in between the material and the thread I'm going to cut that off, lash that down. So this is the side of the fly you're going to see the most of. This is the way it's going to sit. And I've got a couple of them sitting right here down below us. So when you see it, this is it. So we want to kind of clean up that area and make it as presentable as we can. I'm going to put a little hot spot in there too. And I'm going to put some ice dub in orange. You can use any color you want. We're going to use orange silly legs coming up here too. Centipede legs. So we'll put those together in there. I think it makes a nice accent on the fly. I'll take my centipede legs. That's what they're called. I'll take my centipede legs and I'm going to go underneath here. Go straight up in the air with these. Want to make sure I get them about the same length. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to pull them up in the air, and I'm going to wrap over them. So I've just bound them underneath and over the top. You can move these now wherever you want them to go. If you want to, you could put another little dot of glue right there, just behind the bead chain eyes. I'm going to take my Schlappen, okay? So you can always test it to see how big that's going to be on your fly. You can see that's getting too big down here, so right about in the middle is where I want it. I'm going to pull it back like this, separate it. I'm going to go underneath the back of the hook, and I'm going to tie that on underneath. So again, that's the side we are not going to be seeing as much of. And I'm going to switch scissors, and I'm going to go underneath here again, and I'm going to trim that off right up against the hook shank. So our Schlappen, we want to help it to release those fibers. Or at least those fibers going up. So when you run that, you run the V of that right up against the stem. It's everybody to stand up straight. We'll start it going around, help it around once. And again, once they get started going, they usually will follow themselves, follow each other. This one's behaving nicely. I want one more wrap. I want this to be pretty full. That's about right. Take my thread up. I'm coming from underneath. So I'm going to cut off that stem on the bottom side of the fly. I'm going to do that one more time, just to make sure I got everybody trapped in there. Then I'm going to come underneath again, and I'm going to snip that stem off right up against the hook shank. I got a couple of wayward pieces in there, which I'm going to get rid of. So one of the things, another tool, this is just it's called thread zap cauterization tool. If you get loose fibers in here, you can just burn them right off. Oops, I want to burn my thread there. I did. Come on now, everybody stay there. There we go. Saved it. I'm going to take and do a 3-turn whip finish on this. So when you use that cautery tool, you have to be careful. It doesn't go through glue, but it will cut through thread, obviously, very quickly. Underneath again, there's my finger. Use that as your prop so you get right up against it. We're going to take and put a dot of glue on here on both sides. I see one little spot there. I don't like that. So what we're going to do here is we're going to glue it first. And I'm going to come back with that cautery tool again and get these guys out of here. Okay. Got that done. And then if you want to clean it up, if it isn't still quite right, take a magic marker, whatever color you want it to be for your thread. And there you have it. Black Widow. Perfect for swinging. You can fish it just like a woolly bugger. You can fish it as a nymph. You can swing it. You can jig it. You can strip it any way you want to. I use this fly for swinging down and across. One of my favorite flies. I'm going to get all these hackle fibers all happy. There we go. Perfect.